Она называется Flox, создание игр с безгрузинным бэкэндом. You can start.
Okay. Okay. Привет, hello everyone. Thanks for coming. My talk will be about Flox, which is a backend for games and game developers. And as you can see, 10 minutes ago I retrofitted the presentation with Google translated Russian. If it's not helping, at least it will be funny for you. So, my name is Holger Weissböck. A little information about me. I was born in Austria, and I studied media technique and design there, which is a lot about game development. And when I think about it, it's also a lot about playing games like StarCraft there. After that, I was working for CompuWare as application performance in the application performance department and learned a lot about performance and optimization of performance. So, together with my partner Daniel Sperl, I created Gamua. We created Gamua back in 2009. And with that came several iOS games, which this is a small sketch okay, it's back again. It's a small sketch from one of our games. And out of those games came our first game development framework, which is called Sparrow. It's pure Objective-C and is targeted, of course, for the iOS platform. And after that, we created the Starling framework. I hope some of you know it or have worked with it. It's pure ActionScript and compiles to the browser, to iOS, and of course to Android. And our latest project, which I will talk about now, is Flox, which was kind of born by the experience we gained through our game development times, and also by all the comments and experiences the game developers using Starling and Sparrow had. So, what is Flox? The most important thing about your game that you will create are the players. So, you truly want everyone to play your game. It's usually that when you start creating a game, then you think that everyone will like your game and will play your game. If that is your goal, then usually you have to not only think about the game design and the graphics of the game, but also about stuff that requires a server side, which is achievements, leaderboards, supporting different mobile devices, storing the progress your players have, storing save games or some game states. You need to integrate with with social platforms like Facebook, and when the game is out in the wild, of course, you need analytics and some charts to see what your players are doing. And you need some form of debuggability, some kind of way to improve your game. So as I said, you usually want to have it cross-platform and still have one central point of data. So, if you want to do this yourself, and we have to do this, we have done this ourselves, you have several things to set up. First, you need to buy some servers. You need to, what's this? You need to set up databases. You will have to write server code. We all did this. You have to create a stack of matching frameworks. And of course, you will need to maintain your hardware and worry about the scalability of your servers. So what will happen if truly the 100 billion players will play your game? You will have to prepare for peak loads in requests or player counts or whatever. And of course, you will have to waste a lot of time on things you don't want to do. Because usually as game developers, you want to invest time into your game and the game design and the story behind it. So if that all is too much work, and I hope that's the correct Russian translation here, for all of you who don't want to do this, we have created Flox. So what it brings to the table is one central web interface, which gives you in-depth analytics, charts about the number of players your game is currently sporting, then of course where the players are coming from which country, which language they are using, which version of your game they are using. Usually when you work with mobile browser games, and I'm sure you all know that, you have a lot of different versions out there, especially on iOS, where the update process is super slow. And you can create leaderboards with Flox. You can store your and serve your achievements to your players. Flox will collect all the logs of all your game sessions on its central servers, and you can browse and search through them to find error messages or debug your game. Currently, we have 3 different SDKs out. So the main SDK, of course, because Flox was developed for Starling, is ActionScript. We also have an Objective-C SDK for iOS. And the last one is a bit special because it's a Ruby SDK for managing the data in the backend. So what you can do with that is, as a developer, you can download all your logs and all your analytics data and work with it in your local processing pipeline, whatever you do with it. Then there's a thing we call the entity system, which is just a remote database you're working with. So what you can do with it is you can create game objects, like say a save game or a track from some kind of racing game, and you can store it to the server directly from your game code. You can then let other players download it directly from the server. So you never need to touch a database or whatever in the background. Then, of course, every player that plays your game has a profile in your Flox backend and will log in to your game and will identify himself. And so you can create profiles for each player and store important data to those profiles. And the last thing, of course, is we built Flox based on the Google App Engine, which has proven in the last 3 years to be available, which wasn't down a minute in the last 3 years. So the thing is always there without you having to do any maintenance. So right now we have games, about 2,000 games on Flox, on the Flox backend running, and some of them are, I don't know if you know them, Pixel Mogul, which is from Swiss guys. Then there's a Snail Boy from some South African guys, and Barbarian, perhaps you know. A few of those games are here. Okay. So looks like I have some time for details. Yes. What we wanted to achieve with Flox was that we can give game developers one clean and optimized API for all the tasks they need to do for storing data, retrieving data, getting analytics, and what I just talked about. What we also wanted to do is to reach the 100 billion player limit. So we built it on the App Engine, which scales like indefinitely. A few months back, right now we are at about 5-6 servers at a time. And a few months back, one of our games really hit the App Store front page, and the servers immediately scaled up to 150 servers at a time without any problem. So that's what the App Engine really is good for. And of course, you have all your data in one single web interface, which makes managing all that stuff a bit easier. Since the players are your most important thing for your game, Flox handles player login for you. It allows you to handle your players as guests, of course. Is the translation real? Is it really good? Yeah, thought so. Okay, so it handles player login for you. You can identify your players by the platform they are coming from. You could say, okay, I will give this player the Game Center ID from iOS, and this player came from Android, so I will give him the correspondent ID from the Android platform. And you can also authenticate them using an email system. And in the end, since you then exactly know which player is currently playing, you can store his status and his progress directly to the servers. In the analytics part of the whole thing, which comes out of the box, so the only thing you need to do is integrate the SDK. You will get in-depth look into your players' behavior, so where they are from, as I said earlier, languages, which devices they are using, which resolutions, and other things. Of course, you get their log files, so everything you log in your game will be stored to the server, and you can then, if some problem occurs, you can go through the log files and debug as if you were debugging on your local machine. Also, you can create custom events. So say you want to track how many players are actually buying that in-game sword you were offering, then you can fire a custom event for exactly that event. Also, what's always important are leaderboards. So we offer, you can create unlimited amount of cross-platform leaderboards, and of course, as I said earlier, achievements and player progress. Yeah. So at the heart of the whole thing is the entity system, and this is some kind of our personal holy grail, because what it does is it takes your ActionScript or Objective-C objects and serializes them to the server, and you can then execute queries on them, or load them, or overwrite them, delete them, whatever you need, directly from your game code. Also, with those entities comes a kind of a permission system, so that out of the box, the data one player saves is only he can see. So he's the owner of his save games, and he's the only one who can see those save games. But if you as a developer decide that you want the player to share this data with others, you can do so and can flag those objects as publicly readable or whatever you want. So let's hope we have the internet is working now, the Wi-Fi is working, and let's see if we can. No, it's working, I guess. Okay. Yeah. So let's see this thing in action. I will now log into our own to our own account at Flox. Probably. Yes, here we are. Man sieht noch nichts. Okay. We need to mirror the display, don't we? Where is the mirroring stuff? This is. Yeah. Displays. Jetzt müsst ihr wieder zurückschieben, gell? Wird das dann passen? Yeah, there we are. Okay, so this is how the backend looks like. We have created several games here. One of them unit tests, another one load tests. Yeah, that's development stuff, whatever. And one of those games in our personal backend is is a fake game, which is the carousel on our website. And we wanted it to send in the data of all the visitors to our website, and you just have to imagine that this is your game right now. So what you can see here are nice charts about how many new users versus active users you get. These are typical game industry standard statistics you would want to say show your investor or what. So you have daily, weekly, monthly active users, and yeah, it goes on there. So these are some basic statistics. Then you get to see which of your game version is currently played most. Right now we are at 1.0, is that, I guess? Yeah. Countries and languages, of course. So you can differentiate between different countries and see perhaps which translation is most important for your game. Here is the long set of custom events we created. For example, let's see. This one is interesting. The game loads some scores, and we wanted to know how often this does not work because of a shabby internet connection of that mobile device or whatever. And you can see here that where is it? In that case, the ominous error 2032 is responsible for not loading scores. Then we can go over to the logs of our game, and we can scan through them. And for example, you could say, I want all the logs from Russia. And it will filter for all those logs. And then we can go through that logs and get some details about the device and about the player. And of course, the whole log stack we have been logging in this game. And if there is if an error occurred, for example, we want all the errors from Russia, we can do this. Hopefully there is one. No, there's none. Okay, so we will have to remove that filter. No errors from here. Okay, let's have a look at that one. So we have a stack trace in here, and we can immediately start to use that stack trace with our game code and fix the problem. And if we want to, let's say, give that player who ran into that problem some I don't know, a note or whatever, we can directly see which data this player has stored and which leaderboards he was submitting his scores to, and which custom properties that you create during game development he has on his player object. So it goes on and on and on and on. And I think it's time to go back to the presentation. How much time do we have left? Not much, I guess. 5? Okay, then I can show you a small thing here. So this is the list of all our players we currently have. We can filter them by email and key, which is the foreign key, perhaps a Facebook ID or whatever. We can also create indices on all the objects we store. For example, here we stored save games, which are loading, which are visible here. So every player created save games and is using them to store his player progress. Yeah, that's basically it. There's only one thing. I know you want to see code. I always want to see some code. So in the documentation over here, you see how this works. So in my personal private garage game, I created a class called Save Game, and it's a typical ActionScript class with in that particular example with only an in-game progress property. And the only thing I need to do to be able to store this to the Flox server is to it's too, yeah, that's better. Okay. So that's the save game, the ActionScript class. And now I want to save this save game to the server. And what I need to do is to integrate the Flox SDK and add this little thingy here, say the system that this is now a Flox entity, and that's it. So what I can do now is I can call methods like saveQt, and it will store the save game to the server at the next best moment. So either immediately or when this current device goes online. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Holger. We have a time for a few questions.
First of all, thank you for a great product, for a great service. I've tried it already and I like it very much. Please tell the attendants here about the pricing model, about the operations, and don't forget to mention that saving statistics is not a cost operation at all.
Yeah, okay, so, right. Of course, since this is running on servers at Google, we have to buy these servers, and which means that Flox costs something to us. And the pricing model we found for Flox, we think is pretty cool for game developers because it's a pay-as-you-grow model, which means that you are only paying exactly for what you are using. So, of course, you get some free amount of operations, we call them, when you first start tinkering with Flox. And then we are exactly tracking what your game is using, and you are exactly only paying this and not some monthly fee or whatever. Maybe other backend services may be using. So, is this answering your question?
Yes, that does. Two additional questions.
Yeah.
Are you planning to implement exporting, built-in exporting ability to the service, let's say to XML, for example?
Okay. So, as I mentioned very swiftly earlier, there is a Ruby SDK. And what you can do with the Ruby SDK is you can download for, let's say, entities or players or your analytics, and you can use that to create your HTML files or whatever you want. So if you want to show the leaderboards on your custom website, I'd say you iterate, you create a cron job that downloads the leaderboards and shows it on your website.
Yeah, I see, but if there is no Ruby programmer around me, how can I save statistics automatically to some third party?
Okay. Currently, the only way to access this data programmatically is using the SDKs. So either ActionScript, Objective-C, or Ruby.
And the final question for me: how complex can be the objects serialized? For example, if this is an object extended from Flash object and it has several fields, let's say bitmaps, Flash display bitmap.
Okay, so the hard limit for each object is 1 megabyte of serialized data, which means that you can use very complex objects with a lot of data in them. Some of our users use those entities to actually save images, let's say small avatars for their players. But it's of course it's better to use very small objects because those are transported faster to the actual device and will use less bandwidth and time, of course.
Thanks for your session. The question regarding communication protocol between client and server. Is the protocol protected somehow? I mean, encryption or whatever? Yeah.
So the communication between the game device and the server is running over HTTPS, SSL encrypted, and the protocol behind it is a REST service using JSON as a format for communication.
If I would like to use your service and would like to modify code for my purposes, do I need to know ActionScript?
No, you could also do your game in Objective-C right now. But
no, code, my game code.
Yeah.
Or I talk about if I want, do I have ability to modify backend code for my own purposes?
Now I see. No, currently we are not able to execute backend code, custom backend code.
У нас, к сожалению, совсем закончилось время, поэтому если у кого-то были еще вопросы, то я думаю, вы сможете их задать лично. Thanks a lot. That was a great lecture.
Thank you very much.